Imagine you're on deck at night and a wall of steel boxes starts toppling like dominoes into black water. That actually happens. A lot more than you think. Here's the shock. In rough seasons, hundreds, sometimes thousands of containers fall off container ships. The one APUs lost nearly 1,800 in 2020. The MSC Zoe spilled hundreds across the North Sea in 2019. So why do these floating skyscrapers drop their cargo? First, physics is savage. Big box ships can get hit by parametric rolling, when waves from ahead or astern sink with the ship's natural roll. The bow and stern rise and fall, stability changes fast, and the ship whips side to side up to 30–40 degrees. That violent motion spikes forces on lashing rods and twist locks way beyond what they were designed for. One failure in a high stack can cascade into a full-on collapse. Second, bad info is deadly. If a container's weight is misdeclared, the stow plan is off. Heavier boxes end up higher than they should, raising the stack's center of gravity and loading the lashings unevenly. Third, weather and course changes. Sudden course corrections in steep seas, quartering seas that hit the ship at an angle can push stacks to their limits. Add wind pressure on a 10-high stack, and it's like a sail yanking on steel. Fourth, gear fatigue. Twist locks, if they're worn, bent, or not tightened to spec, that tiny bit of slack becomes lethal in a storm. Lashing rods, if they're worn, bent, or not tightened to spec, that tiny bit of slack becomes lethal in a storm. Turnbuckles, if they're worn, bent, or not tightened to spec, that tiny bit of slack becomes lethal in a storm. So what actually keeps the boxes on? Smart stowage, heavy low, light high. Dangerous goods where they're accessible. Modern ships use weather routing, lashing force sensors, better lashing bridges, and crews follow a securing manual that's basically the ship's playbook for stacking steel safely. Now, when boxes do go overboard, how do you get them back? First, mark the drop zone and report it. Some containers float just below the surface and are navigation hazards. Salvage teams deploy side-scan sonar, drones to map the seabed. Then a dynamic positioning salvage vessel moves in with a heavy lift crane. ROVs clip slings to submerged boxes. Grapnels snag units buried in sand. Airlift can float a container up if the crane can't reach. Lift bags can float a container up if the crane can't reach. On the surface, workboats corral floating containers with towing bridles and tow them to a barge. Everything is logged for customs and insurers. You've probably seen those viral clips, stacks folding, containers splashing like toys. It looks random, but it's a chain, extreme roll, bad weight data, tired gear, rough seas. Break that chain and the boxes stay on board. If you spot one at sea or on a beach, don't touch it. Some carry hazardous goods. Call the Coast Guard, take a location, and keep clear. Shipping is the backbone of everything you buy. Understanding why boxes fall is the first step to making sure they don't.